Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast is your one-stop shop for fantasy football news and advice. Can't decide on who to draft on the first round? Going gaga on how to line up your team. We've got you covered. Traditional leagues, dynasty leagues, PPR leagues, IDP league, IDP league, even daily fantasy football league. Join us as we break down all the questions of fantasy football. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast.
What is up? Welcome to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Tom Dougherty. I'm your host today, as always. And as always, of course, this podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. It is a Tuesday, and we're actually going to start off the show with another mock draft. I finished the show last time with one. Didn't really get to talk about it that much, the results, because it was the end of the show. But I want to start with one this time, and then go in the second segment and talk about the wide receivers and how they kind of fell throughout the draft. Receivers are kind of an interesting thing because you can kind of pick a receiver at any time in the draft. They always can help, but obviously they do have to. I always like to take the quarterbacks into account. There's always so many variables, so lots to take into account with fantasy. We talked a little bit about offensive lines last week and how they can affect different things, your running backs, your quarterbacks, how you should draft them as well. So we'll do that throughout the first two segments with the mock draft as well. And the third segment, we're going to do some talk on the individual defensive players. Some rookies are in there, new guys like Bradley Chubb is in there. We'll see if he's a guy you might want to take for those out there. Take with those individual defensive player leagues. And then in the final segment, we're talking about quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks to be more specific, as we don't really talk about daily fantasy that much yet on the show. We'll get into that more and more as we get closer to the season, but I also want to do some talk regarding veteran quarterbacks and how they're getting kind of lost in the shuffle with all these young quarterbacks, and then as well when it comes to the rankings, and then also daily fantasy implications with the veteran quarterbacks as well. So we'll do that in the last segment. In this one, though, we're going to start with the fantasy with these mock draft. We're going to do 10 teams. I'm going to pick last. Actually, I did randomize my draft position and got 10th. And I'm going to do PPR. We're going to do one quarterback, two running backs, two receivers, a tight end, a flex, which is just a wide receiver or a running back, and then a kicker, your 6 bench players, and your defensive team, obviously. And we'll start right away, as I'm going to be the 10th pick in this 10-man league. So I'm going to have back-to-back picks to start off this draft, as of course, Le'Veon goes first, Todd Gurley, David Johnson, Brown, Hopkins, Kamara, Odell, Beckham, Julio Johnson, and Zeke is picked 9th. So Zeke, that's the drop right there. That's the difference between PPR and non-PPR. The pundits, all we saw it in the rankings. We're seeing it now in this mock draft that Ezekiel Elliott is definitely not as highly touted when it comes to PPR versus non-PPR. So I'm trying to see if which I would think is kind of interesting, though, because you could look at the stats from last year and see that Dak Prescott played better when Zeke was there, whether it was taking more pressure off him with play action and stuff like that. That's not an if. It is definite. that is a definite big part of it. The fact that he has a little more time and can get a little more open, finding some more open spots over the middle when those linebackers are being pulled in with the play action pass. But the fact that Zeke isn't really there as an option to catch the ball, or as a high up there, Le'Veon is. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, big guys that are going to catch the ball out of the backfield. Surprised to see David Johnson go that high above Antonio Brown in a PPR. So that's interesting. But Brown, Hopkins win, then Kamara, then Odell, then Julio, then Zeke. So I'm going to pick Michael Thomas. That's kind of a no-brainer for me. Love Michael Thomas. And I'm going to pick back-to-back. So I'm going to get Michael Thomas and then Kareem Hunt right after that. So it looks like it didn't really matter. Obviously, Saquon Barkley's up there too, as actually this it does give me the percentages on which guys I should pick. It gives me 4 top guys with percentages. of the experts agreeing with these picks. I advise you to go do a couple of these drafts on fantasypros.com before your actual draft, because it's really cool how they go through this draft tracker and all the positions and everything with the rankings they have as well. So actually, I'm going to go away from it. I've never been that high on Saquon Barkley. We talked about it last show. I think he did a whole segment on Saquon and how I'm just not that high on him. It's going to be really interesting to see how much of the pressure or much of the volume, the carries he gets, how much of the touches and wear and tear he gets, with the fact that Eli isn't going to be the biggest help for him, I don't think. And then they do get a little bit of help on the offensive line. They lose their center, but they do get a big left tackle, Nate Solder, from the Patriots in the offseason. But I'm going to stay away from Saquon. We're going to go Kareem Hunt. He had the big year last year. I mean, we've even had guys come out and say that he's the best running back in the league. And I like that Chiefs offense. Obviously, I'm going to have a lot of picks before I get to pick again, as a bunch of guys went in between my last two picks. Obviously, Saquon went right after I picked Kareem Hunt, second pick in the second round. Then it goes A.J. Green, Leonard Fournette, Keenan Allen, Dalvin Cook's gone, Mike Evans. I could list off all these guys to take me a bit. Not the best quality podcast there if I just go off and list all these guys, but McCaffrey's gone, Thielen's gone, Gronkowski's gone, Kelsey's gone. So 2 tight ends just like that, boom, boom, third round. I mean, those are pretty much the only tight ends you're probably going to want to take in the third round anyways. Maybe a Zach Ertz, who's up there as an option for me. But with this PPR and the ability he has out of the backfield, I got to take Shady McCoy with my third round pick. Love the Shady. I think he's going to have a big year this year, honestly, with the addition of being a little safety blanket for either, whether it's going to be AJ McCarron, it could be for the first half of the season at least, and then going into some time with Josh Allen. But we'll see. I think Josh Allen needs a whole year, obviously. But that's what I think. I picked back-to-back, obviously, so I'm going to have another pick. We're going to go Stephon Diggs. I like Larry Fitzgerald. He was there as an option, but I'm just, with their quarterback situation there in Arizona, I don't know. I'm going to stay away. I'm going to go to Diggs with Kirk Cousins. I like Diggs. Obviously, I have a lot of picks in between me. My 2 picks. I always get to pick back-to-back. That's the one thing about picking 10. You're always going to pick back-to-back. You're just going to have 20. You have to pick smart, because you're going to pick 20 picks in between you and your next pick. Russell Wilson. So it says quarterback. I'm going to stay away from quarterbacks. I'm not picking quarterback for a while. Aaron Rodgers is gone. Deshaun Watson's gone as far as quarterback. Tom Brady's still there. I want to see if I can get a Drew Brees or Kirk Cousins maybe the next time, because I'm obviously picking back-to-back again here. Right now, Evan Ingram is the highest rated tight end. Might have to grab him here and then go back to a running back, as I have both my running backs, both my receivers. I'm going to get a tight end right here. I'm going to get a good flex player. Alex Collins is up there. Love Alex Collins as a running back. So I'm going to snag him and Ingram in this one. As you see, Derrick Henry is also an option as well. I'm just going down and look at these running back rankings here. Those are the guys left in the top 20. Obviously, Rashad Penny as a rookie could be a guy to look at, but also looking at the wide receivers. I want to key on the wide receivers. I get Michael Thomas and Stephon Diggs as my top 2 receivers. I like that a lot. But looking at these receivers, the top 20 are pretty much gone. As I'm looking at the rankings here for these overall rankings, the top 20 is pretty much gone. The next highest receiver right now is Pierre Garçon. We have a bunch of running backs in there as well. Sammy Watkins is still in there as well. So, yeah, lots of receivers. Michael Crabtree, Robert Woods, Pierre Garçon as receivers. So, those are all veteran guys too. So when I talk about these veteran players as well, we're going to talk about receivers. This might take me into the next segment, but that's okay. Crabtree. I want to stay away from quarterbacks. It says Russell Wilson right now. All the experts agree, but I'm staying away from quarterbacks right now. I bet you a bunch of them go in the next round, but I'm going to wait one more and see who is left for me. So I'm going to I took Evan Ingram, obviously. Now I'm going to take Alex Collins as my guy. I like Alex Collins. So let's see how many quarterbacks go. Wilson's gone. Drew Brees gone. Jimmy Graham, Tom Brady's gone. Ben Roethlisberger, Kirk Cousins are all gone. So Drew Brees and Matthew Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo still there. Who doesn't have a quarterback? Am I the only guy without a quarterback? Yes, so I'm going to still wait. I'm the only team without a quarterback now, as it's J.J. staring me in the face. Look at that. What happens when I wait? Just get J.J. I can always get Matthew Stafford or Jimmy Garoppolo. Nobody's going to pick a second quarterback yet. They just got J.J. and then I'm going to grab Sammy Watkins, actually. I think I like him as Sammy Watkins, honestly. If he can stay healthy, we saw what he can do in Buffalo. He had an interesting year last year with the Rams. Obviously comes into another, changing into a different, back to the AFC, in the AFC West now with the Chiefs, as he will be having a first-year starter at least, coming in and throwing to him. I think he would be a nice big target on the outside for Mahomes to get used to throwing to. So I like that as well. So we're going to go with him there. A bunch of guys get picked obviously in between. Sony Michel's gone. Love him. Chris Thompson from Washington. As you see, a couple different, three rookie running backs just went here in the 8th round. As you have Rashad Penny, Royce Freeman, and Sony Michel all go within 4 picks of each other. Jordan Nelson, another veteran receiver, in there as well. So you can, like I said, Cooper Kupp, Emmanuel Sanders, Devontae Parker, all receivers right there. As we're still talking about receivers, Des Bryant got picked. He's not even on a team yet. Des Bryant got picked in the 8th round. That just goes to show you right there how high receivers are going. They picked Des Bryant before Nelson, Rashard Matthews, I think, who I like, Parker, Sanders. I think I got Devontae Parker in the last one too. I'm going to grab Chris Hogan because I love how he gets through the zone with Tom Brady throwing to him. Him and Brady have a very nice little back and forth going as well, as I get to pick. Again, obviously, back-to-back picks. And with that second pick, we're going to take Jimmy Garoppolo just to grab a quarterback. I didn't really like who else was on the board. I mean, we still had Ronald Jones, a couple pass-catching running backs. You always got to like those pass-catching running backs. Tariq Cohen is still there. He's still there, and I'm going to grab him because I love Tariq Cohen. He had a great year last year, and I knew he was still going to be there because nobody has him that high on their boards, but I like Tariq Cohen. Draft Tariq Cohen there. All right. As we took him. And then the next guy up. Oh, we're going to take... Is it going to be... See, this is a question mark here. We got Kerryon Johnson staring me in the face. We're still in the 11th round. As far as my look, how it looks right now, my whole thing is filled. Obviously, I have that's pretty even. 2 receivers, 2 running backs on my bench so far. Everything else is filled. Defensive starter, obviously, team, and kicker is still up there to be picked, but I have two more bench spots to pick, and I think I'm going to go receiver, running back. I like Kerryon Johnson. I think it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do in Detroit. So we're going to grab Kerryon Johnson with that second pick because I get 2 good pass-catching running backs. I've always talked about Kerryon Johnson as well in this league, as we see a bunch of a couple guys pick second quarterbacks, another tight end. Here we go. Look at that, who just dropped in my lap. I love veteran running receivers. We'll see how Jameis, with another year under his belt with Deshaun Jackson, is going to be with him. I like Deshaun Jackson and take him. And then back-to-back, of course, I got my receiver. Look at that. We waited. We didn't reach on the defenses. We didn't reach on the defense. We didn't reach on kickers. So we're going to have the defense fall right into our lap. I mean, let's take Jacksonville this time. Watch me get an A on this mock draft again because my team is awesome. As usual. Didn't get freaked out by the things. Look at that. I'm not going to get a good kicker, though, because they all got taken. So we're going to take Chris Boswell for Pittsburgh, because I do like the fact that they kick a lot. Look at that. A. 93 out of 100. A. My team, I got Jimmy G as my quarterback. Kareem Hunt, Shady McCoy is my running back, so like that. Then see the value of a receiver. So I'm going to go through all my receivers here, as we're going to talk about receivers in the next segment here. Michael Thomas, Stephon Diggs. Very, very... I mean, I like that because there are two teams that... I mean, one team is actually is more of the running defense right now with New Orleans, but that's their number one receiver, so he's going to get his touches, obviously. And then Stephon Diggs, I think, is going to be a great option for Kirk Cousins, as he's going to basically... you do have this Thielen, but basically, I think Thielen, honestly, is going to be the guy who gets double covered more, because Diggs has got the quickness and the speed to be able to get through the zone and find soft spots in the zone. Also, you got to have that deep threat as well with Diggs. You got to always nice to have an option there and an ability on your roster to have a chance for a bonus or a 40-yard play or 40-yard touchdown, which you probably will see coming this season, as Kirk Cousins does throw a nice deep ball as well. Stephon Diggs got the burn to take that off the top. And then Evan Ingram on the Giants, not my favorite tight end. He does get a high ranking. I'm surprised he gets the boost he does. When it comes to volume, I think him with him, Sterling Shepard, and Odell Beckham, it's going to be a lot of options. I mean, you got weapons there for Eli Manning. It just depends how well he's going to be able to get the ball out of his hand, how fast he's going to be able to get the ball out of his hand. Regarding the other things he has to deal with the running back there as well. So that'll be a nice little. I like that addition there. And then Alex Collins. Love Alex Collins. I love Alex Collins. He's basically the number one running back right now for Baltimore, and they can't really pass the ball because Joe Flacco doesn't really do well with that. So they're going to be running the ball a lot, I think, in Baltimore, and he's great with even the short distances, gets a lot of touches down close to the goal line, a lot of touchdowns. Jacksonville defense is always nice to have. I mix and match my defenses. I'm not really that I'm not really into that holding on my defense the entire time. Sometimes I'll even run with two defenses because of the mix and match ability. Sometimes you don't want to have to wait and hope for waivers, so you just have two sitting in there. Whoever has the best matchup, go with that. And then on the bench, like J.J., Sammy Watkins, Chris Hogan, and two good little receivers. Get some good youth in there as well as some veteran stuff. I got my rookie Kerryon Johnson, who I've talked about a lot. Especially go watch my college football. Go listen to the college football show. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday from a couple weeks ago. Talk about Kerryon Johnson a lot as well. So that wraps up the draft talk. We'll do some talk about it more in the second half or second segment of the show too, as well as we're going to do some talk on receivers in that segment as well. So we'll stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. We did that mock draft in the first segment. Hope you guys like those. They're fun to do. Get a little insight on where everybody's going to fall. I mean, you saw that was only the 8th round. Those receivers were going. I do want to talk about some of my receivers now in this segment. And I mean, it's interesting how you can. I mean, yeah, you can get a receiver in the first round. You can get a receiver in the 9th round or the 8th round or whatever you want to do. I do want to go look at the rankings right now. Obviously, PPR and everything does factor into that as well. But I mean, receivers are kind of the thing where, yeah, you do like your running backs, you like your all your different things that don't have to do with quarterbacks. Obviously, with receivers, you have to worry about the quarterbacks and the fact that if they have to give them the ball, they have to throw them the ball. Fortunately, I mean, there are some guys out there who it doesn't really matter. They'll get their touches, like I said. I mean, there's guys like DeAndre Hopkins, who even last year with a lesser than stellar quarterback was able to get his stats last year. DeAndre Hopkins, obviously this year, hopefully he can get on a good little rapport with Deshaun Watson, who hopefully will stay healthy. But regarding the rankings, I know that we looking at these receiver rankings, obviously you got to think about having AB, Antonio Brown, number 1, but Hopkins right there, number 2. Not the biggest Odell Beckham Jr. fan. I think you could even throw Michael Thomas up on top of that. You could throw, I mean, Julio Jones is there. I think Julio is going to get doubled a lot this year. They have obviously with Calvin Ridley, still got Sanu on the other side, but Matt Ryan for some reason doesn't get the higher ranking that you would think he'd get with all those weapons on there. Because I mean, that's kind of goes both ways with fantasy. Your receiver has to throw the ball to somebody, has to get somebody to throw the ball to, but the quarterback has to throw the ball to somebody. You got to have some weapons out there for that quarterback to get the ball to, and to get in order to get some points. You got to have some guys to catch the ball. Obviously, for Tom Brady, you can pull a lacrosse player off the street and put some football pads on him and call him Chris Hogan, and he'll get a bunch of touchdowns for you. I mean, I even picked him in my last draft. Because, I mean, with your bench players, through the first 5 rounds, or so you got 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a quarterback, maybe you tight end, so 7 rounds. No, that's 6 rounds. 6 rounds. First 6 rounds is pretty much where you're going to get your money players. And then from then on, you're filling up your bench. And those are guys where you kind of hope you can get some mix and match stuff. Maybe you'll see how the bye weeks. That's one thing I didn't do very good. I think I did okay last time with the bye weeks. But you want to obviously find some spots where you can plug a guy in. But you're going to use the waivers. I mean, I used waivers so much last year. You see guys using the waivers all the time. I mean, most leagues let you 3 or 4 ads a week or something like that. So there was multiple weeks last year where I used all 4 of the ads, mix and match my defenses, mix and match my kicker, mix and match my quarterback. Like I said, I like having 2 defenses on the receivers as well. Receivers are tough because you can get one guy who's like 10-point projection or 9.5 projection going up against a weak defense, something like that. Oh, he got 2 touchdowns on my bench. Thank God. Good should have started him, huh? So receivers are tough to gauge, but I mean, Odell Beckham never really been he's obviously a great talent, but I like Michael Thomas. I think he should be up there at 3, and Odell Beckham at maybe 4 or 5. AJ Green's still up there. I love Keenan Allen. We even come out, I think Aqib Talib came out last year, just a couple weeks ago, and said that he was their toughest cover last year for the Broncos defense. That's Keenan Allen. So if you're going to pick him in the second round, you got to be happy with that, to have him be your number 1 receiver. You got Phillip Rivers throwing him the ball. He gets some great yards out of the catch. So even if you're not a PPR, he's a great option. PPR, you're basically looking for guys that have good yards out of the catch, and a lot of these, obviously the top guys do. They all do. We gotta love how Devontae Adams has snuck his way into the top 10. Obviously, having Aaron Rodgers to throw to you is a very nice piece there to have. But I think that we got 2 guys from Minnesota, Thielen and Diggs are right there. Where do you pick him? How do you decide which one to pick? I mean, I picked Diggs last time. I think Thielen may have actually been gone before, but I picked Diggs before Thielen. Or I picked Diggs instead of Thielen. I think Thielen was gone though, so I didn't have the choice. But if you did have a choice, who do you pick? I mean, I think it's kind of a toss-up right there. It's kind of a win. It's kind of a coin flip. You're like, okay, this guy's gonna have a better year than this guy, or are they both gonna have the same like quality year? I don't think Kirk Cousins really picks favorites all that much. He's had to kind of figure out his way with some no-name. I wouldn't call them no-name receivers in Washington. He didn't really have very many weapons. I think with this offense, Kirk Cousins can go crazy, but he had Jamison Crowder. And I mean, he did have Pierre Garçon before he left in Washington there a little bit of Deshaun Jackson as well, but not really many big names to think about as receivers. I mean, he made Chris Thomas look really good last year too, out of the backfield, catching the ball as well. So I think with Kirk Cousins, you can kind of go and maybe just flip a coin when it comes to Thielen or Diggs. I think Thielen is better for PPR because he's more of a possession receiver. He's going to catch the ball, go down, and Diggs is more better for a non-PPR. So he's going to kind of be more of that deep threat and have more yards out of the catch, maybe even a couple of the deep bombs over the middle, where he's going to end up in the end zone and get those bonus points as well. So I was just talking about during the draft last segment. But yeah, it's definitely, I think it just depends. PPR, probably Thielen. Non-PPR, I'd go Diggs, just because of the style and the kind of routes they're going to be comboing on, because it's all about the route combinations. Obviously, they're going to be on opposite sides of the field from each other most times. They might stack them a couple times, put Thielen in the slot or Diggs in the slot, that is. But these 2 guys, it's kind of pick your poison. The fact that Doug Baldwin is ahead of both of them is solely based off of volume. The reason why Doug Baldwin is number 10 in these rankings is because of volume. And it's just because, and I mean, I don't even know. I think he probably went in like the 4th round in the draft. I probably should have looked at that a little closer, draft results. But I think that he definitely is a guy who kind of gets forgotten a little bit. I think maybe because he plays for Seattle and their offense is definitely not on the same kind of page where they were. Hopefully, I can get back on the simulator here and see where he gets picked. It didn't save my progress. All right, but regarding receivers, Doug Baldwin, he's up there number 10 because he's the only guy that Russell Wilson has to throw the ball to, really. Which then, in turn, makes me think, how the heck is he going to get open? Because if he's the only guy to throw the ball to there in Seattle, who else is going to there to cover? I would just double cover, bracket, drop a receiver underneath, drop a cornerback underneath, put a safety on top of Baldwin every single time. And bracket him times 3. You can even throw a linebacker in on the inside for any in-cutting routes. Every single time. Who else is to throw the ball to? Paul Richardson or whatever his name is? Really? I don't think so. Because it's gonna be tough. I stay away from Doug Baldwin. I stay away from Russell Wilson, honestly, even though they're both up there. Russell Wilson, I think, is like 3rd right now in the quarterback rankings, which I think is crazy. I thought that offense is just not viable enough to get the production they're looking for. It's just not. And so the fact that he's up there that high, he might even be in the top. He's 24th right now. That's for non-PPR. For PPR, PPR probably goes up higher. I think we did this last time. He goes to 20th. 20th overall. That's overall. That's every play, every position, which is just crazy. For PPR, he's still at 10th. So yeah, the fact that Thielen's behind him, Fitzgerald's behind him, Tyreek Hill's behind him. Yeah, that's crazy. Even T.Y. Hilton. I think T.Y. Hilton's had a couple. You don't hear about him. He's had no Andrew Luck. Obviously, he had a good little year last year with Jacoby Brissett. Had a couple games where he put up some serious points. So you even got to think about that. Obviously, T.Y.'s draft stock goes up a lot if he has a Andrew Luck this season. That's still up in the air. So, by the time we have these fantasy drafts in the beginning of September, we'll probably know if Andrew Luck is going to be playing or not, and then his draft stock will react accordingly. I think right now they might be accounting for Andrew Luck coming in this season. Look at his notes. Obviously, that was just. Last week, last week of last season, he only caught 3 balls. So I think it's definitely hit or miss for a lot of these receivers, and that's why it's tough when you have a couple guys like last year. I think I had Deshaun Jackson and Emmanuel Sanders as the 2 guys to pick from, and I would end up putting a running back in my flex most of the time because I had Mike Evans and DeAndre Hopkins, just my 2 guys here and play every weekend. Obviously, Evans, you have to kind of mix and match him sometimes because his performance on the field might be lacking, or he might not be even on the field due to some, like last year, he got suspended for a game because of some of his actions in this near the sideline last year, but I always got to watch that. I always think Mike Evans is going to have a good day, but then he ends up turning in an average day or worse. So I'm probably going to stay away from him this year. Sees why his draft stock. He was around the 6th best receiver last year, and he drops to 9. AJ Green and Keenan Allen. AJ Green with Andy Dalton throwing to him is ahead of Mike Evans. So that goes to show you him and Jameis Winston need to just go in some high school football field and just work out together. They need to get on the same route. I know he's great with these jump balls thrown in the back of the end zone is awesome. Throw it up there, make him get it. But working his way down the field, it's just tough. Jameis needs to be more accurate. He's a big target. He's like, he's 6'4", 215 or something like that. He's huge. Get him the ball. I know last year he's dealing with some injuries. It's all about staying healthy, obviously. Best ability is availability. And he wasn't available because of it. He had some injury issues, but it slowed him down a little bit, or it wasn't available due to suspension as well. So definitely put a little red flag next to Mike Evans. Not as bright of a red flag, maybe a yellow flag. Caution flag next to Mike Evans. Red flag next to Doug Baldwin because of his just the lack of help. He's going to be double covered every time, every single play in the passing game. I think he should be double covered because they don't have anybody else for him to throw the ball to. This is like what they're saying that Calvin Ridley for Atlanta might have a good year, which actually makes him maybe a little bit draftable, or even I wouldn't maybe not draft him. Just wait till week 2 if he doesn't go drafted. Wait till week 2 and see how he does week 1 with the defense, how the defense plays him basically, and then pick him up like that, because I think that he can be a guy who can get you some real good points. He's not going to get covered. He's not. They're going to double cover. They got Sanu to worry about, and they're going to double cover Julio, and he's going to be just roaming around there. And Matt Ryan does not care who's open. He'll throw the ball. He had Taylor Gabriel last year, who was like 5'0" and got him the ball. Hopkins, Ridley's a little bigger than that from Alabama. So that'll wrap it up for this segment, as we have been doing a bunch of receiver talk. We'll come back next segment with the talk on some individual defensive players, and we'll do that right after these messages. So stay tuned.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA Podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, welcome back, GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. This segment, we haven't done a full segment on these individual defensive players. I know you guys out there are playing in these individual defensive player leagues. I know whether it's I know I've played in a league where you have one individual defensive player, like you just get one. I know there's more where you have 5 different individuals. You have 5 different players. You have a linebacker or a safety, a cornerback, and a defensive lineman. That's only 4, right? Yeah, so 4 players. So yeah, individual defensive player so it's a lineman, a linebacker, a corner, and a safety. There's so many good defensive players out there. That's what we see. A lot of these games are getting. The score. We love scoring. The rules are more pointed towards encouraging scoring, obviously. But there are so many good defensive players out there. Whether it's, there's everything. So whether it's D-line or complete IDP, look at it here. Number 1 ranking does belong. As I'm trying to get it to go to my rankings here. Here we go. The number 1 ranking does go to Luke Kuechly due to the fact that his volume. He gets the tackles machine. The points, how your point system is going to be lined up will obviously have some effect into who you're going to be picking, but Luke Kuechly is a machine, gets a bunch of tackles, and he's number 1 with Bobby Wagner and Joey Bosa rounding out the top 3. Those guys all very much have those abilities and tackle machines. Joey Bosa, the top ranked defensive end as well, which is quite interesting how to see him up there that high. I think because he also is good in the passing game as well. We'll drop back into coverage just as much. Oh, not just as much, but he will just as well as he might even be rushing the passer as well. So I think a lot of the guys know who the top guys are. There are also some sleepers. Obviously, Danielle Hunter is up there in Minnesota, defensive end. Obviously, you got to think about him. C.J. Mosley is a good linebacker, gets a bunch of tackles for Baltimore. One of my favorite guys, though, right now is Khalil Mack. Obviously, you got to think about him. He's going to have a bounce back year. That's the question mark. Had a great rookie season, obviously, in Oakland. I think that that secondary wasn't helping him that much as maybe. He's going to be helping. He wasn't helping the secondary as much last year, as they're obviously quite porous. Oakland having some issues last year, but I think that also has to do with the fact that the passer had too much time. It works all together. It's kind of correlated. The fact that if you could put more pressure on the quarterback, you're gonna put less pressure on your defense, on your secondary. So if Khalil Mack can have a little better performance this year. He can get up in that top 10. Right now he's sitting at 14. I think he's probably one of the more underrated right now due to the season he had last year. He's the 6th ranked defensive end, as we're pretty much looking at defensive ends and linebackers right now in this top rankings due to the fact that they just get their more points are angled towards them. There's a safety. Landon Collins, obviously. He's a top 10 player when it comes to defense. He's at number 1 safety. That guy is really, really good. And hopefully the Giants, he'll be... I mean, the thing is, defense is... Your point is to get off the field as soon as possible, get your offense back on there. So it's secondary for the Giants, hoping to get Saquon Barkley back on the field as much as possible. J.J. Watt's got to stay healthy. Obviously, got Telvin Smith for Jacksonville. That whole defense in general is just a machine. You can fill up your whole team with players from Jacksonville and probably be just fine. You can have Calais Campbell as your defensive end, Telvin Smith as your linebacker, Jalen Ramsey as your corner, and Deshaun Gibson as your safety as well. So I mean, as far as I want to look at these safety, or they have defensive backs. Yeah, defensive back rankings. Whereas Barry Church is up there too. So Barry Church is actually number 7 right now with safety. So Barry Church is the other guy, the partner of Deshaun Gibson as well. I like Gibson a little more. He didn't stay healthy too. He had some injury issues in the playoffs last year as well. So look at that. Eric Reed. Eric Reed is a 14th ranked. I don't know. I don't really want to get into this whole political conversation of it that much, but Eric Reed is a 14th ranked safety right now, defensive back in this for fantasy, and he's on a football team. He's a free agent right now, and he is a free agent because he knelt during the national anthem, and he hasn't come out and said that he's not going to kneel next year, even though these rules are coming out now. I've even seen reports saying that some players might sit out this year until both Kaepernick and Reed are on rosters. I mean, Kaepernick, I think it's been a while. I think it's kind of ship has sailed. But the fact that Eric Reed, he's a very good safety. And you got very good safeties even ranked behind him. A.J. Bouye, Jacksonville, cornerback. Micah Hyde, great. Malcolm Jenkins, the Super Bowl winning safety, is ranked behind him right now. Eric Reed is 14th in the league, according to these expert rankings, and he is not on a football team. He's not on a roster, which is just absolutely... I can't even... I want to say it's unacceptable. It is absolutely unacceptable, and that's all I'm going to say about it so far right now, as we're talking about ability, but he's got on a team. TJ Ward's not on a team either. That might be for different reasons, but we know the reasons why Eric Reed isn't on a team, and it's kind of sad, honestly. As far as it goes with these running back, with these DBs, obviously Harrison Smith is my guy. Love Harrison Smith. He's got. I mean, that's another team. Minnesota's defense, they're probably second best in the league right now. Another team where you could just draft their entire defense as your individual defensive players. You get Harrison Smith as their safety. You get Xavier Rhodes as your corner. Your linebacker. I'm trying to think who their number 1 linebacker is off the top of my head right now. It's not. I'm drawing a blank, but I know Rhodes and Harrison are top 2 guys. You can do as your defensive end. You got Griffin as your defensive end. Looking right there, and then linebacker. I'm trying to think here as I'm looking at these linebackers. Who's the top linebacker ranked? Eric Kendricks, very good linebacker for Minnesota. So Eric Kendricks up there in the ranking too. So you can have 4 guys from Minnesota as well. Probably 4 guys from the Rams too. Rams, they're kind of going with that whole mercenary defense, and they have some good, obviously, individual defensive players with. Obviously, the best guy in the league right now, I think, Sam Darnold. Luke, that's funny. No, Aaron Donald. Maybe not the guy you're going to think about for fantasy purposes, to the fact that he does. I mean, he's on the interior line, going to get more run stops. But I mean, if it's tackles, he is going to get tackles. He's not afraid of getting tackles. So I mean, there's going to be lots of options there for him, and then obviously the acquisition of Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters as well, as are 2 very good and very they they've shown out they can do it at the cornerback position. And then as a linebacker, Alec Ogletree is they had got rid of Ogletree, didn't they? I don't think he's on the he's on the Giants now. And then also isn't the other guys they're not there either. The guy who was on the outside isn't there either. So not Mark Barron is their top receiver. I mean, Mark Barron is now their highest ranked linebacker. He's actually very good. He's more of that hybrid linebacker, smaller guy, very, very, very good in coverage. He's a guy who actually I would probably think about picking as an individual offensive player as linebacker due to the fact that he's going to probably get a few picks this season. He's going to have his tackles as well. So he's a guy who you got to think about there for linebacker, from the linebacker position if you want to think about Rams guys. But like I said, right now it's all about Luke Kuechly, Bobby Wagner, Telvin Smith, Juju Mosley. Those are your top guys. Deion Jones out of Atlanta. Sean Lee, if he can stay healthy. Quan Alexander gets a bunch of tackles. I've had him in my team a bunch of times. He's also very good in coverage as well. That's the thing. You want to get a combo. You always trying to think, especially for these guys in the linebacker positions. Linebacker, you want to think about getting a combo because for points, interceptions, points. So, I mean, yeah, you get tackles up to wazoo, but picks, Luke Kuechly's got great hands. Bobby Wagner, all these guys have great hands. Telvin Smith's excellent in coverage. So, you got to think about that as well when it comes to linebackers, thinking how good they are in coverage. Robert Quinn is the guy I was thinking of. He's no longer on the Rams either, so he's more of that down lineman kind of technique where he might be an outside linebacker, but he's going to be down rushing the passer as well. So depending on how your point, obviously you want to think about it, how your points are stacked up, whether it's more premium is put on tackles, more premium, obviously you think more premium would be put on interceptions. The tackles happen all the time. Every play there's going to be a tackle pretty much. But interceptions are big, sacks, pass defenses, fumble recovery or causing a fumble. I'm sure are all up there when it comes to how your points are kind of made and premium are put on certain points. Obviously, you got to think about different ways. As far as cornerbacks go, we did go over a little bit of the defensive ends, but as far as cornerbacks go, obviously you're going to think about. I think all these safeties are ranked higher than the cornerbacks. So the highest ranked quarterbacks, AJ Bouye for Jacksonville, but which is actually kind of surprising. I'm not seeing there's Marcus Peters and there's Jalen Ramsey way down there at 28. So they're saying there's a lot of good safeties out there who are they're probably a little bit more valuable when it comes to fantasy because cornerbacks, you're going to get your picks, but the safety comes up, makes tackle more. Safeties are going to come up and run. Cornerbacks aren't in on every play. A good corner honestly doesn't have anything happen over on his side of the field. If you have a shutdown corner like Jalen Ramsey, he might not see the ball all game because the guy isn't open and the quarterback's not going to try and force the ball in there. He's going to get some tackles probably, but safeties are more apt to get tackles anyways in the run game. So, but you have to pick a corner. AJ Bouye's up there, Jalen Ramsey as well, Logan Ryan and Marcus Peters are also very good. Xavier Rhodes, love Xavier Rhodes as well. So ball hawking corner. But as far as safeties, there's a bunch of them. A bunch of very good safeties: Landon Collins, Keanu O'Neal, Rashard Jones, Harrison Smith. The whole Tennessee secondary is very good with Kevin Baird and Jonathan Crippen. So, I mean, there's definitely a lot of options there. Especially Kevin Baird actually isn't on this list right now. He was a Pro Bowler last year because Deion Sanders didn't know who he was. But Jamal Adams, he's not a rookie anymore, but he was a rookie. He played very well in his rookie season for the Jets last year. So, a lot of options. My guy's Harrison Smith. Always will be Harrison Smith. Obviously, we love Keanu O'Neal and Landon Collins there. Giants and the Falcons safety as well as Keanu O'Neal. Gotta love him. But find out what your premium is going to be. Get a jump on how everything's going to be scored. That'll help you get a better idea of who you're going to be drafting and what guys are going to be more valuable than others. Obviously, you're going to have certain cheat sheets. As far as guys I wouldn't draft, there's different players. I think Tyrann Mathieu, we'll see how he is in this first year with Houston. I think guys on new defense, especially secondary, it's a lot of communication, a lot of being comfortable in the same system, playing with the same guys. I mean, blown coverages are points for the other team usually, and the NFL offenses are so efficient where blown coverages can't really be. You got to take. They're going to take advantage of the blown coverages. You're not going to get away with it. Is what I'm saying. So you got to think about that all when you're thinking about taking a defense and taking a defensive player as well. So that's going to wrap it up for this segment, and we'll come back and do some talk on veteran quarterbacks and why some are ranked higher than others, and why I think some guys are maybe getting cheated a little bit when it comes to fantasy. So we'll do that when we come back. Stay tuned.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, welcome back, GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. As this loud music will end abruptly right about now, just like that. Look at that. Now it's just my voice talking about veteran quarterbacks and how Drew Brees and Matt Ryan and all those other guys are ranked below Russell Wilson. I know Russell Wilson has the premium of he's a really good running quarterback. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he's going to be doing a lot of running this year. So, the premiums are put on running. He's going to be running around a lot. And we'll see if we can get some yards out of it, or get in the end zone. He doesn't have very many weapons. I just don't know. Yeah, is he going to? How often can he run? I mean, every time he's going to scramble every time and try and get yards that way. Going to be kind of a running gun kind of offense. What they're going to do, and it's just I just don't see how their offense is going to shake up. Obviously, I think him and Rashad Penny might be a good little dynamic duo, but they're going to be going on some tough. I mean, let's look at the Seattle. I'm going to look at the Seattle Seahawks schedule this season. Obviously, having to play in the NFC West. The NFC West is going to get tougher and tougher. The Rams, great defense, obviously, great secondary. Have a tough little test against them twice. The Cardinals, they've reloaded. They're healthy now. They still have their defense is still pretty good. They got sack leader last year, Chandler Jones. They got Patrick Peterson there in the secondary. The Niners, their front seven has been kind of rebuilt through the draft, and now all these guys they've drafted over the last few years are ready to go, and they get after it. DeForest Buckner and Eric Armstead. I mean, they have a bunch of different guys. Obviously, it looks like Reuben Foster is going to be available as all of his legal matters are being taken care of in looks like the right way and a good way for him to be available for next year. So their whole front seven looks to be just fine. As that'll be a test for Seattle this year. Obviously, Seattle being the number one team, used to being the darlings of this division now, or maybe the team's looking from the bottom this season. But I'm going to look at their schedule. I know, looking at the Niners schedule, that they play the Seahawks twice, like within 3 weeks, in the last half of the season. So, but I mean, we're already seeing guys coming out from previous guys who usually on the Seahawks coming out against Pete Carroll. I mean, looking at it, okay, so they open the season at Denver, tough defense. Then they play the Bears, who usually have a pretty good defense. They play Seattle at home. Cowboys at home, Cardinals, Rams. So back-to-back games in division, Cardinals and Rams. One on home, one on the road. That'll be a tough little defense. And they got a little reprieve against Raiders, Lions. Yeah, they're playing against some tough defenses, even out of their division. They play the Vikings. They play the Chiefs. Two tough defenses right there. Green Bay, that'll be an interesting game. I don't see very many wins in this season I don't see very many wins in the schedule for Seattle, honestly. I don't. I think they lose both times to the Niners. They might get one against the Cardinals. I think they lose both games against the Rams. They play the Lions on the road. That could be a tough one. They play the Panthers on the road. That could be a tough one. That their two home games two of their home games are against the Vikings and the Chiefs. Those could be both home losses. The Seahawks, they have a veteran quarterback and Russell Wilson. Yes, I know that but that's going to be tough sledding. Those are some defenses he's going to have to go against this year. And it's just going to be him. It's going to be him and Doug Baldwin and Rashad Penny against the world, basically. And hopefully they can get some points there with the ability to do that is going to be a question mark for this whole season. So I definitely would stay away from Russell Wilson. Why he's ranked up that high with quarterbacks is just beside me. I think it's just volume and the fact that he's going to be running the ball himself, and there's a premium for running quarterbacks because you're going to get he's second for PPR is it PPR or not PPR? I think it's just rank regular. Not that it matters because as a quarterback they don't have receptions. Just Rodgers obviously number 1, Russell Wilson 2. That's crazy. They do have the slide. Some guys have him 1, some guys have him 7th, which I think is better. The fact that Carson Wentz is 6th, I think it might be because he's coming off an injury. If he was healthy all of last season and coming off a win in the Super Bowl, he'd be 2nd or 3rd at least. Brady, we can't really talk about Wentz that much. He's not a veteran quarterback yet. But Brady, Rodgers, obviously, we're supposed to be. I think that Drew Brees is getting a hit because he's getting older. Matt Ryan is 16th. Jameis Winston is ahead of Matt Ryan. Andrew Luck, who hasn't thrown a football in a year or two, is ahead of Matt Ryan. That's crazy. That's the biggest craziness of this whole. That's one thing I don't agree with these rankings. Matt Ryan, yeah, he should be around. The highest ranking he has is 9th. That's probably a little bit more accurate. I just don't think that he doesn't run it. He doesn't run enough. There's not enough. He only can get points through the air, and if he has games where he's having a tough time through the air, they'll probably just run the ball a lot with Freeman, and he won't get as many points. But he's got some serious weapons. He's got Sanu, obviously Julio, getting Ridley in the first round this year is a huge addition for him, and I think it is going to lead him to becoming a better fantasy quarterback because I think he's going to have Ridley, who's going to be open a lot this season, and Ridley's a good little pass route runner. As far as I loved Matthew Stafford and Roethlisberger. For me, they're like 5 and 6 in the rankings because I just love them so much, and the fact that they can put up points. They have so many weapons. Stafford, you can just go off volume. He probably throws the ball 45 times a game anyways, and he'll get some completions. He'll get in the end zone. This year might be a little bit different due to the fact they've added LeGarrette Blount. They draft a running back and who they get? They got Kerryon Johnson, right? And then having the defensive-minded head coach might be a little different. Might go for more of a running defensive approach this season. But you never can go wrong with Tom Brady. I think the fact that how he spreads the ball around, how that offense is how well he knows that offense, you can't go wrong there. Cam Newton gets a higher ranking, even though he's not as accurate as some of the other quarterbacks. Not as accurate as Carson Wentz. Not as accurate. Honestly, Carson Wentz and Cam can be flip-flopped. You could even put Carson Wentz ahead of Deshaun Watson the fact that Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz are both coming off an injury, but Deshaun Watson is ranked higher is crazy. They're both coming off a leg injury, and one has played more games than the other. Carson Wentz has a season and a half, almost 2 seasons under his belt. Deshaun Watson has, 5 games? Ugh. These are consensus rankings, too. These are not just one guy. These are 43 experts putting up these rankings. And Deshaun, because I think Sean gets watered down in round 4 because some guys have him as a number 1 quarterback. Number 1. His average is 4.2. So his worst is 9th. So, yeah, I think that's crazy. Carson Wentz should be up there a little higher. Drew Brees should be higher. Cam Newton could drop a little bit, but he gets a bump because he runs the ball more. So I've had Cam Newton. The only reason I would ever draft Cam Newton is if he's still available in like the 8th round. And that's the thing. I have to keep preaching this every time, is the fact that you guys should go and get a temperature of your room, get a temperature of your draft room, get a temperature of who you're playing against, what do you think they're going to be reaching for, not reaching for, and we talk to them a little bit before, trying to get some insights anywhere. Because I know my league that I play with, nobody really drafts quarterbacks until the end of the draft. We had one guy, I think, draft in the first round, got Tom Brady in the first round. He actually ended up being in the championship game against me, to be honest, but that may have been a fluky kind of thing. It was. So I know that these guys will probably be available late in rounds. I'll try and get as much value as I can with running backs. I mean, my philosophy is, especially for PPR, draft get your receivers. Get your top receivers and draft pass-catching running backs, because they'll get the touches anyways with the ground game. But get two top receivers. Try and get two top receivers like I did. I got Diggs and Thomas, and then get pass-catching running backs. Shady McCoy, Todd Gurley. Well, if you can, Todd Gurley, or even a rookie guy in with Kerryon Johnson. Get a Jerick McKinnon. Great option there. Pass-catching running back. Great option. So, I mean, these quarterbacks, obviously, you got to think about who they're throwing the ball to as well. So, I mean, Deshaun, he might get a little bump because he has Hopkins. Cam Newton doesn't really have anybody, but he can run the ball, so he gets a bump. Carson Wentz should be at 4, but he's at 6 because he gets coming off an injury. Drew Brees, I have no idea. I think he may have dropped a little bit because of the fact that the Saints have angled themselves to become more of a defense running game team, even though he's going to throw the ball a bunch to Kamara this season as well. Kirk Cousins is 8th. He should be probably lower, but he gets a bump because he's got great weapons this season. I think that it's going to take some time, maybe with chemistry and everything, but the fact that Ben Roethlisberger is 10th, Cousins is 8th, Roethlisberger has Bell and Brown and Jesse James. They lose Martavis Bryant, but they have Juju Smith-Schuster. He's got weapons. Matt Ryan's the biggest travesty to me. I wouldn't mind drafting Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's got. The only problem is, like I said before, he can get a little volatile in the fact where if he plays against a good secondary, Dan Quinn might go against the run. I mean, might go more run heavy. Or I think Steve Sarkisian's their offensive coordinator now. They're in Atlanta, so he's going to be going. He might angle it more towards running it and go with Coleman more than throwing the ball down the field if they're playing against a tough secondary. But you're always going to have Julio deep. You're going to have if he gets double covered. If Sanu gets double covered, they have Ridley now. I think Matt Ryan could be having a breakout season again. I mean, the guy won MVP 2 years ago. He was the MVP of our league 2 years ago. Kind of choked a bit in the Super Bowl, obviously. I think that was more of his coach's fault as well. The fact that they just kind of got ultra conservative with a 25-point lead in the third quarter. So they got ultra conservative and Patriots came back. We all know what happened there. But I think that 16th? You say 15 more quarterbacks are better than him? This guy won MVP 2 years ago. It's just a joke. You got Julio Jones and 2 good young tight ends in Austin Hooper and O.J. Howard and Ridley and Sanu. He's got weapons. And, Coleman can catch out of the backfield too. So, I mean, hello? It's just ridiculous why he's so low. He's got weapons all over the place. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's 11th. He's played 6 games with his team. Or 5 games. Yeah, he's won them all. But who are his weapons? McKinnon. He's got, obviously, Goodwin's pretty good. Hopefully, you can keep Garcon healthy all season. That's kind of a bunch of no-names. He doesn't have Julio Jones on his team. It's just ridiculous. All right. Enough on this stuff. We're gonna cut it right here at the end of this quarterback rant that I'm having right now regarding why Matt Ryan is being cheated out of a couple positions. But when it comes to drafting quarterbacks, I think that veterans think about who they're throwing the ball to. Obviously, you know who gets a bump because of the ability to run the ball. I'd watch the guys who are coming off injuries. I like Carson Wentz better than Deshaun Watson coming off an injury, obviously, for multiple reasons, just the size and the fact that Deshaun's had some injury issues in the past as well. So think about that. And the offensive line for the Eagles is better than the offensive line for the Texans. So that'll be that. All right. So this show's been good. We did a bunch of stuff. We did a mock draft to start off this episode. We talked about that and how everything kind of transpired through the draft with the receivers. And the second one, obviously, you got to pick if you're going to have that decision between Diggs and Thielen. I know they're on the same team. They're right there, very close in the rankings. I think Diggs is better for PPR. I'm sorry, for non-PPR. Thielen is better for PPR due to just more of the volume and how they get yards out of the catch and everything. So that's how I kind of take that one. But look at your rankings. Get a feel of your room. Obviously, we're going to talk about drafting all throughout this off season here, as well as some NFL news as it comes out as we're going to get into the summertime. So everybody enjoy their early the week, as it is a Tuesday here. We'll be back on Thursday with another episode of the GSMC Technology Podcast. So we'll see you then. Bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.